This is Dudes Who Bet Sports.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel, and welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Sports. Papa Dude, are you ready to talk Super Bowl?
Let's do it. I like this line a lot. I don't know about you, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, my phone's going crazy. There we go. We've been talking about it all week. It's like, boy, this is interesting, this line. So yeah, we'll get right into that. So what we're gonna do, we will talk all things Super Bowl to start the show, and then we're gonna do our little Toby Keith storytelling tribute to end the show. Kind of spend probably an equal amount of time on both. We've got a lot to talk about today when it comes to that. So let's get the business out of the way first. Let's talk Super Bowl. San Francisco is the favorite. They're 1.5 point favorites here. The total sits at 47.5. This thing's been 1.5 or 2 pretty much ever since it opened on that Sunday evening over a week and a half ago now. You said you liked the line. Tell us who you like.
Well, I do, and it's went down 0.5 point since this morning because one of my friends texted me this morning and said, hey, what's the latest line? And I looked it up, and it was 2. And now it's down to 1.5, and it may go back to 2. And so what does that tell us? That tells us that line is easy to bet. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. Don't you?
Yeah.
It's an easy line to bet. If you like the Chiefs, you bet it. And you bet them you bet it on the money line, or you bet it at whatever the line's going to be that makes you the most money. The line is doable for either side.
Yep.
If you like the 49ers, 1.5, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is a bettable line. There's going to be a lot of money thrown at this one. There's just so much I like about the Chiefs in this game. I've done some research today in a couple things we talked about on our show for the last few weeks. The big stat that I looked up that just pops out at me from the playoffs, during the playoffs, the 49ers are averaging giving up 159 rushing yards per game. That is terrible.
That's awful
for the NFL. And if you've watched the Packers and you watched the Lions, they ran it down their throats. Both teams did. Now, that's not the strong suit of the Chiefs, but they do have a running back that is dynamic if his head's on right, and he'll be ready for this one, and he doesn't do stupid things. He could really hurt the Niners. So that's one aspect I like in this game. Can the Chiefs exploit what looks to me like to be a weakness for the 49ers? I think they're going to come out and try to run it. What do you think?
I totally agree. One of my most strongest plays, I don't know what the number is now. I know what I bet it at, was Pacheco over 67.5 yards rushing. And I'm with you. I think Pacheco is an elite player, but I do think he's inconsistent, and a lot of it was what you're talking about there. But he'll be locked in and ready to go, and I think it's a big mismatch, and I think Pacheco is going to have a big game in here. So I like the Chiefs. I'm going to bet the Chiefs in this game. I think they make sense. I'll in just a second, I'll get to my biggest fear, but to what you're talking about, I'm very confident Pacheco is going to have a big game. So his rushing total going over is something I am ready. Or not ready. I have already bet it because it just makes too much sense to me.
Yeah. Now, the next thing, the drawback I have on betting the Chiefs, which I'm going to bet them too. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yep.
Is this. There's two things. One, I think the AFC is pitifully weak this year. I really do. I think the NFC is very tough. What am I getting at? I think the 49ers have had to beat better teams than the Chiefs have to get here.
I'm not sure that's true. I don't really agree with that.
Well, here's the thing that is one of my fears for the Chiefs. The key to them this year has not been Patrick Mahomes on the offense, to me.
Right.
It's been their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the two teams they've faced in the playoffs don't have creative offenses. They don't have offensive minds, in my opinion. The 49ers do. Kyle Shanahan
Yeah.
is a great offensive mind. They're very simple in what they do. They don't do anything fancy. The big key for the Niners is, besides being able to stop the Chiefs' running game or stop anybody's running game, can they do something that exploits the Chiefs' defense? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know whether they can or not, but he's had 2 weeks to devise something to go against that Chiefs defense, because to me, this is I can't remember a Super Bowl the Chiefs have went into that we're looking at their defense is the main reason why they're there. Can
Mm-hmm.
you?
No, and I think you're absolutely right. See, I kind of have a complete opposite take on the
Okay.
level of competition. Who would you rather play, the Bills or the Packers?
You're not gonna. Okay, on a neutral field, I'd rather play the Bills
Okay, all right.
because the Bills can't win a big game,
Yeah, it's fair.
and Green Bay would have had nothing to lose. Now, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to go to Buffalo to play
Mm-hmm.
them. I would not have wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have.
And then I think the Ravens are a better team than the Lions.
I don't.
Well, and let me rephrase it. They were a better team in the regular season than the Lions. Now, what we saw of the Ravens in that game against Kansas City, that was a horrible effort, right?
I knew the Chiefs were going to beat them.
I did too. I never doubted that. Never doubted. The only time I've doubted the Chiefs this year has been that Buffalo game. I thought the Bills could beat them.
Once they beat the Bills, I knew they were in the Super Bowl because I like John Harbaugh, and I'm not going to say he's not a good coach because he is. They don't win those games very often. They just don't. That was a pitiful performance.
Yep.
If you're the best team in the league, that was a terrible performance. And they had all kinds of time to get ready for that. No, I just did not. I had no doubt the Chiefs were going to win that game.
Yeah.
And I kicked myself for not betting them on the money line.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
The Lions, I think, were playing as good as anyone.
They probably were. Yeah.
They should be in this game.
They 100% should be in the game.
Yeah, it should be them. And you know what? If the Lions were in this game, the Chiefs would be 3 or 4 point favorites, I think.
I think you're right. I don't know if it'd be that much, but they definitely would be favored.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Probably 2.5, 3 point favorites.
Yeah, they would because it's Detroit instead of San Francisco.
Yeah.
But you look at the 49ers 2 playoff games. They should have lost them both.
Easily could have, and should have. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other reason we're picking the Chiefs, and we've talked about this a lot, Brock Purdy can't win this game by himself. He cannot.
No.
He's not the best player on their team. And I'm going to take the quarterback who's not only the best quarterback of the two, but also the best player on his team.
Yep.
And that's Mahomes. I mean, when you look at the Chiefs, who's their 2 best players? It's Mahomes and Kelsey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to defensive guys. I think you might put Pacheco up there in the top 3, maybe.
Debatable. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you go, Jones, Bolton, Tranquil. Those guys are very, very good.
Yep.
But you look at the Niners, their 3 best players, in my opinion, are McCaffrey, head and shoulders, Samuel.
Yep.
And then it's debatable between Kittle, Purdy, and Bosa. You might switch those all around. So when you look at this, Mahomes can make plays himself
to
beat you. Purdy cannot. Purdy must have the rest of the players around him play well. Okay, McCaffrey can do it on his own because all Purdy has to do is turn around and hand him the ball.
Yep.
Or throw a little screen pass out in the flat or whatever to him. But those other guys, in order for them to be a factor in the game, who has to play well?
Yeah, Purdy.
Purdy does.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. And I am not a Brock Purdy doubter at all. I'm not, like so many people are. I think he's solid as a rock. But I'm going with a line this size. I'm going with the team that has the best quarterback.
Yep. Well, I think the key to the game is McCaffrey. And if the Chiefs can limit McCaffrey.
That's right.
They don't have to stop him. They just have to limit him.
You can't let him go nuts like he did, like he's done.
If he goes nuts, the Lions – or the Lions. See, because the Lions should be here. If he goes nuts, the 49ers have got a shot. Because if he goes nuts, that means these other guys really aren't having to do all that much. If they can limit McCaffrey, I don't see any way the Chiefs lose the game because Brock Purdy's not going to be able to make enough plays to beat him. I really believe that, especially when you factor in there's going to be a ton of pressure on Purdy in this game because that's just what the Chiefs do. I just really feel like that's the big problem of, okay, they've limited McCaffrey. It's 3rd and 8. Can Purdy get a first down throw into whoever? Just name whoever, even if it's McCaffrey going on a 10-yard route or Debo or whoever, Kittle. Can he do it? Can he do it consistently? And if they have to ask him to do it consistently, can he do it? And I think the answers are no. I do think there is a world where McCaffrey, because he is an elite player, there is a scenario where he just kind of goes nuts. And you look back at this game and it's like, well, he had like 200 total yards, a couple of touchdowns, and they couldn't stop him, and he was able to beat him. I don't think that's as likely to happen as all the other scenarios that I think. And unfortunately, I think the biggest problem for San Francisco, their defense just has not been very good the last few games of the season and in the playoffs. And that is the problem. That is the main issue. Like, at the end of the day, I do think the 49ers will move the ball some, but if they're not any tighter than they were against the Packers or the Lions, I don't think they're good enough offensively to make up for it again and against a defense that I think is better than what they've played. So
I agree. You don't magically get better on defense.
Not in the ways they're getting beat, which is just kind of getting pushed around.
They are.
Like if you're a secondary and you make a bunch of mental errors, you can correct it. Yeah. But when teams are lining up, handing the ball off to the tailback and getting yards on you consistently, there isn't a fix for that. Mm-mm. So I don't, that's the thing. Like at the beginning of the year, I picked the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
Me too.
And I'm not now because obviously you've got many data points to analyze before they played a game and now, but the defense has been really disappointing. I went into the season knowing, look, when this offense plays a really good defense, they're going to get limited some, but their defense will carry them through those games. I don't think they can again. And I think they're very lucky that they're in this spot. Now, part of it is they made a lot of plays when they needed to make them too, so give them credit, but I don't think they can do it again. And I think the spread is what it is, but I think the Chiefs win the game outright.
I do too. And I'm solidly on the Chiefs. Having said all this, I won't be surprised if the 49ers win.
I don't think you could sit here and say you'd be surprised. No. Yeah. This has been, other than the game they played against the Ravens where they were awful, they've looked like the best team for a lot of the regular season. Now, again, they haven't really looked like the best team in the playoffs, but no, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And now I want to get to my one thing that I'm very scared about.
Okay.
As an analyst and as breaking down games and breaking down matchups, I look at this and I'm not saying the 49ers have no chance to win the game, but everything I break down kind of points towards the Chiefs, whether it's barely, whether it's big time. But it's all kind of pointing towards Kansas City, and that's my opinion, right?
Oh,
that's just what I'm looking at.
Everybody has an opinion.
Exactly, and yet, I mean, you could.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue it because you might have a different one, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
Here's the fact of the matter. There's analyzing the game, and then there's looking at what's happening in the betting. And these are facts. Everybody's on Kansas City. There's a ton of money on Kansas City. I hate playing public underdogs, and I hate going against Vegas when they are strong on one side. And Vegas is going to be strong unless things change in the next 2 or 3 days. Vegas is going to be strong on the 49ers. They're going to want the 49ers to win this game. I, as a bettor, not an analyst, but as a bettor, I can't stand being on the other side of that.
Yep.
It's not a great feeling. And, if you play that side of it over time, you're going to get beat because Vegas doesn't lose over time.
So let me see if I'm understanding this. So what you're saying, most of the money is going on Kansas City, but that line is not changing.
The line hasn't changed enough, in my opinion,
right,
to the amount of money that's coming in. Maybe it will late. Again, it's hard to make that kind of blanket statement. We still are. It's Thursday. The game's on Sunday. But I hate what I'm seeing from the splits because I am on the from an analyst situation. I'm on the side of Kansas City.
Vegas is keeping that line close to where they think it should be.
What Dennis says, bingo. It is kind of slowly turning, but and Kevin, I know you analyze those lines a lot. If you're an experienced bettor, you're seeing what's happening with the line movements, with the money that's coming in relation to the line movements, and you're going, oh boy, that's not a good sign for Kansas City. I say oh boy because I'm betting them. I'm not a fan of them, and neither is Papa Dude. But
oh no,
when you analyze this, we're saying, hey, it kind of looks like it's favoring the Chiefs, but you look at the splits, you look at how Vegas is kind of reacting to that money, it favors San Francisco. So there's a vast difference here.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Vegas knows, but they do.
So Travis, hold on. Travis says if a bunch of money comes in on the 49ers the last few days, don't you assume that's sharp money? Possibly. And also kind of goes back to what I said. If that starts to happen, and again, there's 2-3 days in. If you listen to this on Saturday, this could be kind of irrelevant.
Oh, it could.
But I'm just talking about from when that opened to right now. That's what I'm seeing. And Travis, as somebody who is going to bet the Chiefs, and I see you're a Niner fan, I'm hoping what you're saying happens. I hope a ton of 49ers when it comes in.
Travis, we're behind you all the way.
We're rooting for you guys, but at the same time, rooting and betting is very different. So,
I like the line. If you want to bet the Chiefs, I think it's gold. The other thing, like I said, I'm not as solid on the Chiefs as I've been. I still am on them. I was much more solid on them when they played the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I was more sold on them when they played the Bills than I am this week.
Not as much. That was the one I thought they could trip up at because
I did too, but I still bet them. But
me too. But that's what I was most worried about. Yeah.
This one, okay. Andy Reid is a fantastic coach. He's going to outcoach almost anybody.
Yeah.
And his staff is too.
Yeah.
The defensive coordinator is gold. Spagnuolo is one of the best.
The best. Yep.
And I feel like they outclassed the last two coaching staffs that they went against. I don't think they're going to do that against the Niners. I have a lot of respect for Shanahan in the San Francisco staff.
Yep.
And they're not going to be in awe of anything. They're going to, they'll be ready to go. Can we also compare this game a whole bunch to the last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl?
It's very similar. Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And what happened there at the last, and I'm not a Jimmy Garofalo hater like so many
Yeah.
people are.
Yeah.
Niners had a chance to win it at the last, and they couldn't drive the ball down the field, could they?
And that's going to be an issue. I really think for the 49ers to win, it better not be like a 3-point game. Like if it's close, I don't think the Niners can win. I think they're going to have to win by a touchdown or more.
Well, I do too, but I don't think they can get to that point. That's the thing. I don't think their defense is good enough.
If their defense doesn't play significantly better, I don't think so either. So
I'm even going to say they may have to go as far as to say the Chiefs may have to play as bad as they did against Tampa.
Yeah.
For the Niners to get that big enough lead.
Yeah.
When they just didn't show up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree with that.
I don't see the Niners getting ahead far enough to keep the Chiefs from having a chance to win it late in the game.
I agree. I agree with your takes. And again, it's almost too. Sometimes I hate feeling like too confident about opinions because that's when it flips on you, you know?
I know.
And I've felt like this for about a week now. It's just like this seems, I don't want to say too easy because it's never easy, but there's too many signs and everybody's seeing them. And it's just like, this is going to flip and the Niners are going to win this game, you know? So,
no,
but I'm not going against what I see with my eyes. I'm just not.
It's passing the eye test, isn't it?
Well, not that. I'm not talking about.
I just feel like, I hope there's a lot of reasons. I hope they win the Niners. I'm talking about because I don't want to pick up or get on the Twitter or look at listen to ESPN or whatever all the next couple of days. If the Chiefs win, all the next 2 days saying Brock Purdy sucks. I don't want to see that because
yeah.
I mean, I just don't.
Well,
I just don't want to hear it. And because I do like Brock Purdy, and I think he has done a fabulous job in a very pressure-packed situation. I really
let's face reality. It's very likely that could happen.
It will happen because that's all these nuts know how to talk about. They don't.
Right.
They want to get on there and act like they're experts and stuff. Well, okay, I'm going to say right now, Brock Purdy's not as good as Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And if Brock Purdy was on a lot of NFL teams besides the 49ers, he wouldn't be as successful as he is. That's obvious.
And I mean, I hate saying it because I want him to play well just for the story, right? But I think there's a much better chance he doesn't play well than he does.
Probably. And again, it goes back to he's not the best player on the 49ers team.
Yeah.
And those other guys are going to have to play well. And those receivers who are, in my opinion, are probably better than he is talent-wise. In order for them to succeed, he's got to get them the ball.
Yeah. No,
and
I agree.
I think the 49ers will move the ball.
Yeah.
I think no one's really stopped them. They've moved the ball in the playoffs. There hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, they're gonna have some success for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen of their defense, it's not been, it's like the other day in the championship game when they were behind at the half, what was 24-7. They come out and they take the ball down the field to start the second half, and they have to settle for a field goal, which is fine. They had to score 3 times anyway, so they got the field goal. So they got a little bit of momentum, and you're thinking, okay, they're going to get a stop. They didn't. The Lions went right down the field on them.
Yep.
And I think they did it another time. I think the Lions started stopping themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. The Niners were stopping them.
Yep.
And I just didn't see that defense step up when they needed to.
And that was the same thing when they played the Packers. They kind of made a comeback. It's like, okay. And really, it was Jordan Love just not making great decisions, throwing the ball pretty pathetically. And it's like, boy, yeah, the Niners won, but man, they got away with one. And then, like I said, the next week, it's like, man, they really got away with one.
Yeah.
So,
and it's possible Mahomes doesn't have a good game. He's human.
I don't really think, in a weird way, this is so awkward to say, but I really think it's true. I don't think he doesn't have to play great to win this game because of the way the Chiefs are built.
Yeah. If you've watched the Chiefs all year, like, unfortunately, we have to because we live here. Now, their record's not all that great, and they weren't a great team in the regular season, but they've proven they're a great team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's been proven. But he hasn't been fantastic because he doesn't have the weapons around him to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's, their defense has stepped up, and that is an underrated thing about this team. Their defense is really solid.
They have decided to run their offense like a team that is the defense is the best part of their team, runs an offense. That's what they've done. And that's, again, why I love those rushing overs, because I think they will try to run it.
Oh, I know they will.
Yeah, and hold on to that ball. Yeah.
If you're breaking down film, the first thing you're seeing is the Niners having trouble stopping people running.
Yep.
So you've got to throw the running game into your game plan.
Yep.
Inversely, the Niners are going to do everything possible. They're going to be creative on how they can get the ball to Samuel and how they can get the ball as many times as possible in the hands of McCaffrey. That's what they're going to do. Yeah. They're not going to come out like the Ravens with the worst offensive game plan you've ever seen. They're not going to do that.
Well, one thing, I guess, kind of to wrap it up, I do believe, I saw Dennis said he really likes the over 47.5, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the one way it doesn't go over, this could turn into a little bit of an old school type of game. Where I think running the ball is going to be popular in this
Maybe
game.
Some long drives that run a lot of time off the clock, stuff of that nature. Yeah, could be.
Yep. So I still think it's going to go over, but that could be the overkiller, honestly, just long drives and stuff like that. So
now one of the Chiefs playoff games would have went over. The other one wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Both of the Niners would have went over this.
Yeah.
So 3 out of the 4 games. Well, the Chiefs actually played 3 games, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I can't even remember the first game.
The Dolphins, which was basically just a scrimmage.
Oh, yeah. It would not have went over.
No, it was like 26-7.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But the games that they didn't go over, the other team scored 7 points.
That's true. That's true. And the Chiefs sat on it in the second half of that Baltimore game.
For sure. They're going to have to score in this half.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game, I think.
I think it is. Would not be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah, because we've had times where we thought it was really going to be a good game, and it hasn't been. So.
Yep, but I think I'm with you. I lean towards it's going to be a pretty good game. But we're going to find out a lot about it soon, because they're going to kick off soon, and it would be unbelievable if Brock Purdy won the Super Bowl. Incredible. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What a story that would be. It would be a fantastic story.
And how about the Big 12 quarterback matchup? The one we all thought would happen when they were in college.
Oh, yeah.
Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes, Iowa State versus Texas Tech.
I'm glad you brought that up. I slept a couple times here in the last week or so, and there's a lot of guys over there that are, big Chiefs fans and stuff. I'm talking adults, not kids.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, where did Mahomes play college football? They didn't even know.
Yeah.
They don't even know where he played.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're big Chiefs fans. When I told them Texas Tech, and they were never any good.
No.
Record wise.
Right. He was good, but they were not. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And
a couple of them are old enough to remember when they drafted him, when the Chiefs drafted him, and how disappointed they were.
Yeah. Well, at that time,
we traded up for that guy.
yeah. At that time when he at that time when he was drafted, he was at Texas Tech, and Tech had produced all these quarterbacks with these great numbers, but none of them had done anything NFL wise. And so they were like, I don't know, system quarterback. What are they doing? Well, they knew what they were doing. So turned out all right. So
yeah, I think it did.
yeah, for sure. All right. Final picks. You're going Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs, correct?
Yep.
All right.
No brainer
for me. What happens. We will see what happens. All right. Well, let's get to the second part of the show here. As you probably noticed, if you were watching us, we are drinking out of our red Solo cups. And thank you, Papa Dude, for reminding me. I had not went and got mine before we were getting on the air there. So we'll transition now. It's been weird. I've been looking forward to talking about this, but at the same time, I've been dreading it.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm sure you know the news by now, but if not, Toby Keith passes away at the age of 62. People in this part of the country, Oklahoma especially, but here as well, it's such a loss for us, especially horse racing people and OU people. It just magnifies the loss. I just wanted to tell a few stories, kind of talk about him a little bit to end the show today. Basically, in a weird way, it's just like we didn't know him, but you kind of felt like you knew him because he was always at places we were at.
It was. We lost a friend. I feel like I lost a friend.
Even though we didn't, it feels that way. Yeah.
I mean,
I woke up. I got a text from Dennis. I read that and I was just like, I choose not to believe that right now. I can't think about that right now, and
I know
it's been tough. And thoughts go out to Pedlo, a good friend of us and the racing dudes. Just Pedlo was close with him, and it's awful. It's
I was
awful.
hoping Pedlo could be on today.
Yeah.
Well, I subbed that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to school, and I don't have a computer at school, and I glanced at my phone, and there's just something on there about Toby Keith, and I get stuff about him on little blurbs every once in a while, and in the back of my mind, I thought, why would I be getting that today? But I got so darn busy, I did not have time to even check. I didn't. I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then during Sandy texted me and said, "Are you on lunch?" And I said, "Yeah." And she called me and told me I couldn't believe it. And most of us who have been tracking him during this illness knew he didn't look good.
Yeah.
He just continued to look bad, just deteriorate. And most people that are getting better with this, you start gaining some weight back and you start looking, and he just didn't. But the man was so brave, so humble, so centered, brave, centered, whatever word you want. He just refused to give into it, and he just kept doing what he did. So you just kept thinking to yourself, hey, he feels good. He wouldn't be able to do this stuff if he didn't. And I think that's why it shocked me so much.
Yeah, you would see him and it'd be like, God, he doesn't look good, but shit, he says he's fine, and I think that's kind of by design. He didn't want that attention,
right. Right.
But
we would see him at the football games.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think to myself, because I'm old, I'm thinking, well, he's standing down on that sideline, and he's standing there, and he's looking normal. He's talking to everybody. He's cheering. I'm thinking, he must be doing okay. There isn't no way he could stand down on that sideline. It was hot. Some of those days were hot.
Yep.
And he's down there, and he walks across the field, and you're thinking, God, he doesn't look good. And then, of course, you want me to bring it up, or you to when we got to meet him a few months ago? And
save that one for the last.
Okay.
Kind of a timeline.
Okay.
Of why we're talking about this person the way we are, even though I've met him, talked to him 3-4 times. You have once there. So obviously, when we started going to the OU football games back in 2000 is when we really started going, and he was at every game. And
yeah, he wasn't that first season though, Aaron. I've heard him talk about it.
Yeah,
he didn't really know them yet, but then after that, he was there all the time. And I know this sounds odd, but I'm going to miss that so much when we go, because the first thing you do is Toby down there on the sideline. That's the first thing you do.
That's kind of the thing about it. Like when I said he was, anytime I went somewhere, it seemed like he was there, and it's like you don't know this person, but you feel like you kind of do, you know. And you'd see him walk across the field. You always try to spot him. Oh, there's Toby. He's there today. Oh, he's with JR today, you know. And just kind of that, and kind of just that. He just had that presence. I'm just a common Okie.
Because he was.
Yeah, he didn't carry himself any different than anybody else. He's just a normal guy. And so fast forward, and I don't know the year exactly, but it was early 2010s, let's say. I'm up at the Carousel Club at Oaklawn, which is not a fancy place, but just kind of where some of the owners sit up there. And we're actually there with Danny Caldwell, and table right next to us, there's Toby Keith and a bunch of guys hanging out. And I'm like, man, that Toby Keith. He's like, oh yeah, he's up here all the time, and no big deal. He's just mingling with people, and you know, it's just like you wouldn't have known he's Toby Keith if you didn't know who he was, you know. And I remember I was standing in line to make a bet, and I don't know why, but I just felt so comfortable around him. I just said, hey, Toby, who you got in this one? And they just turned around and goes, well, I'm looking at this 2. I'm looking at this 3. The pace favors the 4, you know, just like a normal guy would that you're talking about the races with. He goes, well, who do you like? And we just sat there in that line and talked for like 2 or 3 minutes about who was going to win that race at Oaklawn. And I just thought, damn, like this is the most normal guy in the world. He's an absolute superstar, but he just had that way about him where, yeah, you knew he was a star, but he didn't make you, I don't know. It's like he just acted like and felt like a normal guy. And I remember when Reckless Jerry was running in that Triple Crown series up at Oaklawn, the Kentucky Derby preps. And remember he came out and watched the race from the rail that day.
Yeah.
Nobody bothered him. He didn't make a big deal of it. And I was just like, this is the coolest damn thing. This guy is really cool, you know? So,
but you're absolutely right. I'll never forget this, and I'm sure you remember. And then go back to your stuff because you've been in rooms with him much more than I have. What he would do at the OU game, he would go down and stand on the sidelines. These are at the home games for the first half. And he has a suite in the upper deck on the other side of the stadium.
Yeah.
And so he would walk across at halftime, and he would go up and watch the second half in his suite. So we're down there one day, and we did it on purpose. Let's go down there and watch Toby come up the ramp.
Yeah.
And shake his hand. So we're kind of back in the back around there, and he comes walking up, and there's people everywhere. No one acknowledges him. Not a soul.
Nope.
You can't miss Toby Keith.
Yep.
The thing about him is this guy is a giant of a man. He's a big guy, you know, and he's put together and everything. But he looks just like us, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't. You know, what you see on TV is Toby Keith. That's him. So he walks through. Nobody says a word. We shake his hand. He doesn't say, you know, we don't bother him. Boom. He just goes on it. He wrote. Nobody says this. So a couple of guys that sit in front of us, you know, because I'm just amazed. I can't believe he's not being swamped by people.
Yeah.
By the way, he doesn't have an entourage.
No.
There are no bodyguards.
No, it's him. Yep.
Yeah. So I said, Kent, that was the guy in front of us. Kent, Toby just walked right through. He goes, he's in the public eye down here all the time. He goes, he's everywhere in this town. I mean, it's common knowledge when nobody even thinks of him as being a star down here because he's us.
Yep.
He's us.
Yep.
And he was, and I'll never forget that. I will never forget that.
Well,
that was just so strange to me because this guy, you talk about talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
A tremendous singer.
Yeah.
He could play any song. I've watched so many tributes of him in the last couple of days, and people are saying he just pick up a guitar and just start playing anything you want.
Yeah.
He knew it. He could play it.
Well,
out the ass. This guy was one of the best there ever was.
and to that, I will tell the story of the greatest night out of my entire life. I'm not saying it's the greatest night or day of my entire life, but at out at a club or a bar in this case, and it'll never be another one better, and it probably won't ever be a close second. So we were, it was at Oaklawn, it was at Hot Springs. Jared and I got invited to 10 Strike, with 10 Strike Racing. They're kind of a syndicate company that owns horses. We went to one of their little get-togethers, right? And there were a couple bloodstock agents there that are pretty popular, and some random owners of 10 Strike, and then the big owner was there. Anyway, he said, yeah, Toby Keith's in town, and we're going to go hang out where he's hanging out tonight. And I said,
this was really a fancy place, right?
Oh, God, just wait. So the big owner goes, yeah, he's going downtown to the Ohio Club. And I thought, okay, I hate the Ohio Club, but I'll go down there if Toby Keith's down there. So anyway, we went to the Ohio Club, and we walk in that place, and Kenny Smith's groom at the time calls my buddy. He knows my buddy. He said, hey, get down here to Jim's Razorback Pizza right now, which is just a dive. And my buddy, it wasn't Jared Welch. Jared Welch was with me, but it was another Jared we knew. Jared said, I can't remember this guy's name, and I know this guy. I bump into him, but I can't ever think of his name. That worked for Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith, Toby had horses with Kenny Smith. That was the connection.
He had a bunch.
He said, man, I ain't coming to Jim's Razorback. We're going to hang out with Toby Keith here at the Ohio Club. He goes, you got the racing dudes with you? And Jared's like, yeah. He said, get them damn, I'm not going to tell you what he called us. This is our old cowboy guy. He said, get them guys and get your asses and bring these people. I got a table for you here at Jim's Razorback Pizza. And Jared said, again, we ain't coming. He goes, get your ass over here. He said, all right. So we did a loop Ohio Club. Nobody was there. We go to Jim's Razorback Pizza, and Kenny's assistant there, he's got us a table right next to Toby Keith. Toby Keith sitting right behind us, him and about 6 buddies. They got just drinking, having fun, just looked like any old buddy. Nobody bothered him the whole night, and people kept kind of hanging around thinking Toby might go up and play. And one by one, that place starts emptying out. It's like 1 a.m, and it starts emptying out because everybody's giving up. They're like, oh, he's just here having fun. He ain't going to play. There was a band playing, like a local band. And that band quit. And there's probably about 20 people in this place by now. It's like 1:30 in the morning. My buddies are about the only ones left. The Blood Sox agents gave up on it. So there ain't no way Toby Keith's playing 1:30 in the morning at Jim Razorback Pizza. I'm going to bed. Here he came. About 20 of us in there. He got up on that stage for about 30 minutes. He was, and to your point, he played some of his songs, and then he started playing just some random stuff. He yells out to the crowd, what do you guys want to play? What do you want to hear me play? We're shouting shit at him. He's playing it. I'm telling you, it was incredible. It was incredible. And that guy had been sitting at that bar drinking all night. And I'm sure he'd been at Oaklawn all day drinking. He sounded perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going, we're at Jim's Razorback Pizza at 1:45 in the morning. And Toby Keith is playing for 20 of us. And we're yelling shit for him to play. He's a damn guy on the street.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It was incredible. And here's the greatest part of it. Well, no, it's not. This isn't the greatest part of it, but this tells you the kind of guy he is. Okay. He plays, he gets off the stage. He shook every one of us hands, again, you just would have thought this guy, hey, he just started his music career. Thanks everybody for coming to my show. 20 people.
Yeah.
He's one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
So I get to Oakland the next day, and they, what'd you guys do last night? You know, we're telling people, and I shit you not, 90% of the people we told said, you know what? I was at such and such a place down in some place down in Oklahoma, and he did the same thing.
Yep.
He did that shit all the time.
I know.
And that shows you how cool of a guy he was.
Oh yeah.
Because number one, I mean, it was just cool to see Toby Keith at Jim's Razorbacks.
I would think, yeah.
And the guys kept saying, he ain't playing. I said, who cares? Let's just hang out. And
we're in the same place with Toby Keith.
Yeah, I said, if he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We're just chilling out, you know, and hanging out. And good Lord, I mean,
I heard. I don't know if you've seen this. Bob Stoops did a little show. Have you seen it? And he was saying the same thing. House band. He'll just get up and play with the house band. You know,
and that's what he did that night too. When that band got done, he grabbed a couple of those guys and said, "Get up on here," you know. And we're kind of looking at each other like, we've got to be just out of it. Is this really happening? Like, is he really going to do this? And then you're thinking, he'll get up there and play one song and then that's it. No.
Yeah.
You know, so it was crazy.
Another little story. He's got this little, he calls it a roadhouse, little bar that he bought.
Hold on. I want to do this one. Hold on.
Okay.
But Kevin said, honestly, the fact he didn't show that house band up
absolutely
describes what and that's exactly why he didn't go on until he did, because that band wasn't finished, and that band had a paying gig, and he wasn't going to take that away. But anyway, go ahead.
You know why? Because that's what he did till he was 30 years old.
And it's because as famous as he got, this guy never changed.
No,
he never changed from who he was. Yep.
I mean, I've learned so much about him in the last couple of days. The guy was at home in dive bars just as much as on the biggest stage in Las Vegas. It didn't matter to him. He liked to just play. It didn't matter who was playing. And he was an original. Another quick story about his career that I knew a little bit about. He was not part of the Nashville establishment. He was not. And he never bought a home in Nashville. And most country legends end up having to have some sort of a home in Nashville. You have to have a base there because that's country music.
Yep.
Wouldn't do it. And it cost him dearly. It almost cost him his career. Yep. He was doing okay with some songs, but he wasn't in complete control of his career. He had other people telling him, "Oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that," and he said, "No, I'm not. That's bullshit. I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that."
And that's the Okie coming out at him there.
That's right. And he told him, he said, "No, I'm not going to do it."
Yep.
And he goes, "We're going to do it this way." Well, he ended up buying his entire catalog of songs and then forming his own record company. And that was a huge break because he wasn't a superstar yet.
Right.
And he did that.
Yeah.
And I think that's when How You Like Me Now came out.
Yeah.
His signature song. And that's the way he was. And, you know, he loved Oklahoma. He loved where his roots were, and he never left them. You know, he's got a home in Cabo. He's got a home. Where else was he? He's got a lake house up in Grand Lake. There's another place,
which is still Oklahoma, but
but he's got he's got sanctuaries that he goes to, but he always came home to Oklahoma. And you know, he's not just a legend with OU, he's also a legend with Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the song "I Should Have Been a Cowboy" is one of their songs.
Yep.
And he went in, I think it was a basketball game that him and Barry Switzer went up there a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Ended up at Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is not a place you want to be if you're an OU fan.
Right. Yeah.
And OU had played basketball that night and got their ass kicked. And he goes in there and he starts playing in that bar for them.
Because that's him.
That's him.
That's him.
He's
you were going to tell a story about Hollywood Corners.
Yes.
So just quick on it, and I'll set
Mhm.
up and you can tell a story.
No.
Hollywood Corners is this, it used to be this little podunk, like gas station
Gas
convenience
station
store.
that he was in his youth all the
Yes.
time.
It closed. Toby bought it. Now
Mhm.
it's got a back, it's got, they made like a big stage and they do outdoor concerts and stuff there. And it's 3 miles from his house. And
Yep.
matter of fact, the first time we took Heather to Oklahoma,
That's right.
we didn't know where Toby lived, and we sent Heather, and I said, "Go in and ask that guy." Or you said, "I think, go in and ask that guy. Tell him you're from New York. You're here visiting, and you don't want to you just want to drive by Toby's house. Ask him if he knows where it is." And she goes, "Oh, he won't know." I said, "Just go in there. He might." And sure enough, the guy said, "Oh yeah, just take this road 3 miles that way. You'll see it."
Or he may be in here in a little while.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, hang out in here. He's in here all the time." So anyway, it's just crazy.
It's a little old dump like you see out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So anyway, Toby bought it and tell him what
he buys it.
Yeah.
And fixes it up, and they have outdoor concerts and stuff.
It's a real cool. We drive by it on the way to the football games. It's a cool looking.
Yeah, and when the weather's warm, they have outside concerts on Fridays and Saturday nights. And I think it's a little convenience store. I don't think there's gas pumps there anymore, if I remember. I'm not sure, but it still looks exactly. Yeah. They just kind of renovated it, but it still has the same appearance it always has. So when he got to feeling a little bit better through this cancer, he decided, I'm going to see if I can do this again.
Mm-hmm. So he was prepping for those Vegas shows, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but he didn't know for sure whether he could do it.
Right.
And so he thought, well, heck, why don't I just kind of spontaneously show up there?
Yeah. Right.
So he got a hold of whoever was running it and said, "Hey, book us for whatever night it is." And the guy goes, "Wow, how are we going to be able to handle that?" I mean, there's no place to park. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So he goes, he said, "Tell him another band's going to be playing."
No, he said, advertise it as the Greasy Weenies.
Yeah, another band called the Greasy Weenies are going to be playing there. The guy goes, "What? Who are they?" And he goes, "It ain't nobody. Just tell them the Greasy Weenies are going to play there." And he goes, "That'll be, be a crowd, and people might be." So anyway, when people saw the Greasy Weenies were going to play, who the hell is that? But then kind of word began to, rumors begin to circulate. So he's driving to the Hollywood Corners from his house, which is out in the boondocks, and he's like 3 miles. So he said, I start getting close to Hollywood Corners. My God, there's cars parked in the ditches and everywhere else, because the only place you can park's on the side of the road in the ditch.
Yep.
We've been down that road 1,000 times.
Yeah.
He was there lined up everywhere.
Word got out.
I was gonna play.
We've been by there. We've been by there when they've had, smaller concerts.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it'd be a fun play. I would have killed to know that he was actually. I would have drove down. I mean,
I think he did 2 shows there.
Yeah, and they were sitting on the roof of that place. I mean, it's just
Toby Keith, and I think the greatest thing I can say about him is he never met a stranger. I've learned so much about him, and I thought I knew all this, and anyway, he respected your opinion.
Yeah.
You might be on the opposite side of the fence on him on anything, but he didn't hate you for it.
Nope.
I don't know where you saw this, but Stephen Colbert, who's as different from Toby Keith as could be, I did not know this. He had him on his show and he was dreading it.
Yep.
He was dreading it because they're different politically. And he said, "Why are we booking Toby? Because I don't think I'm going to like this guy."
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, he's a big star, blah, blah, blah." So Toby came on and he sang, and then they got to talking, and they hit it off. Stephen Colbert said, "Just like a house of fire." He said, "We hit it off like a house of fire." He goes, he gave this tribute on his show the other night, and he goes, and he was crying. He was almost crying. He goes, I lost one of my dear friends. He goes, who in the hell would ever think Toby Keith and me would have been friends?
Yep.
And he goes, so after they got to talking and everything, Toby Keith said, "I thought I'd hate you, you son of a bitch." He goes,
Yeah.
he goes, "Whatever the fuck you do it really well."
Yeah.
So he Colbert had a little pillow made and had that embroidered.
Yeah.
And it had Toby Keith's name on it. And it just shows you what this guy what he was. He was just, there'll never be another one. And
no.
And the songs, somebody mentioned on there a while ago, they're iconic. And
oh yeah.
I got to tell you the truth. I'm not a huge Toby Keith fan of his music.
Right.
There's some of them I don't care for. I mean, I never bought a Toby Keith album ever, but there's some of those songs that are fantastic. They're just fantastic.
Yeah, I bought 4 or 5 of them.
And the videos.
Oh yeah.
The I Love This Bar video and that's Toby Keith right there. He didn't act in that one.
So a few things before we get to the last story about Toby that you wanted to talk about. People in the chat, Dennis and Shoddy saying horse and a duck, and that's what Colbert said. He's like, it was him and I being friends is like a horse and a duck being friends. He said, by the way, I'm the duck. So I thought that was funny. Yeah. Favorite song. I Love This Bar was 1,000% my favorite song.
I think so too.
I love
that. Toby did that.
Yeah,
he'd been in bar fights. I guarantee.
100%. 100%. Love that one. Absolutely loved Beer for My Horses. I sang that song on the top of my lungs before. So yeah, those is that it. I Love That Bar. Is that your favorite?
I think so. I want to talk about me.
That's a good one. Good one.
Oh God, I never did care if I should have been a cowboy because
you didn't like that one.
No, I didn't say I didn't like it, but I couldn't identify with it.
Well, fair.
That was a great story how he wrote that song. Did you hear?
Oh God, what a great And again, he's just at a bar, and this girl's hitting on one of his friends, and the girl blows off his friend, goes to Toby, and they say, "I see, you should have been a cowboy." Toby turned around and said, wrote that song the next day.
Right. Kevin, you're right. I forgot that one. As good
as I once was.
I think that's my favorite, and especially as I get older. And there's another song. I think it's called "Stays in Mexico."
Oh, it's a good one.
I love that song. I don't think that was a hit, but it's
no, it wasn't. But it's a good song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
The one about the motorcycle rider, God Lover.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a great one.
YouTube them. I mean, it's just over and over.
And
he wrote them. He wrote those songs.
You talk about a low key song. I thought was good. She Ain't Hooked on Me No More. Google that one. That's a good one.
I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that song.
They're just fantastic songs.
Yeah.
Red Solo Cup, to me, only Toby Keith could have sung that and made that any kind of a song. It's the stupidest song there ever was. It's Toby.
I hated that song.
I didn't like it either.
But
that was just a dumb one. But
I liked the hook, but I didn't like that one very well.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was him, and
it's Toby Keith, and
he's drank out of Red Solo Cup all his life. So I get it. I mean, I didn't like it, but
guys, if you like him at all, and you haven't done it yet, go to YouTube.
Oh,
just the last interview he did, you've got to listen to if you like him, because he spilled his guts.
Yeah.
Should have known then something was wrong.
Yep.
He looked terrible. When I saw that interview, I said, "Oh my God." And I hadn't seen him in a while. He was really getting skinnier and skinnier. And this gal from Channel 9, which is a television station in Oak City, did this hour interview with him out of his ranch. And she knew him really well. It's great. It is fantastic. You'll learn something about life listening to it. It brought tears to my eyes, and it just the charity work this man did that people don't know.
I was going to bring that up before we keep putting off the main event here, but he said he donated all his money to St. Jude, And but he's like, no, we need something like this in Oklahoma. So he built his own, modeled it after St. Jude and built a cancer, facility for kids in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he said in that interview, he said the one thing I got worried about the most is when I got sick and couldn't do stuff. Who's going to raise money to keep this thing going? And
it actually it's a place for the family to stay.
No, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it's not the hospital is there. It's like where the parents they're going to take care of the parents.
Yes, yeah.
And for them, those kind of things. And the story he told, and I do want to mention this because if you have extra money and you're looking for a donation somewhere, St. Jude's, it's phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal place. And or you could donate to the Corral, case that's what this is called.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, a friend
not the Sooner Corral, just to be clear, not the Sooner.
No, Sooner Corral's a bar I'm sure he's played in 9,000 times, but I think it's tore down now. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But his guitar player's daughter was diagnosed with cancer when she was very, very young, and she was on hospice, and he had donated money to St. Jude's for years, and he found out about it, and he said, hey, don't let me call them and see what I can do. So he called them, and they go, well, send us her scans and stuff, and we'll see if there's anything we can do. So they called him back and said, get her down here. Looks like maybe there's a couple of things we can try. Get her here. Well, the mom in 5 minutes packed her up, and her mother packed her up and drove from Oklahoma City to Memphis. And because she didn't want to waste another second, get her down there as quick as she could. Well, she got down there. Anyhow, unfortunately, there wasn't anything they could do. So they were at the funeral. And after the funeral, they were all talking. And the mom said, St. Jude's, she goes, I got down there. I didn't have any clothes. I had very little money. She goes, I just got her in a car and we just flew down there as fast as we could go. And Toby was mad. He said, you should have called me out. I got my private jet and got you down there. Anyway, she goes, they gave me money, Walmart gift cards, fed us, just took care of us. She goes, it was unbelievable. And so, Shotty mentions the song that he sang when he got that award, which was so fitting for what happened. That's a story in itself too, how that was written.
Yeah. So, that's good. All right. Let's talk about the last story with him. Because it's a good one for sure. And all credit goes to Pedlo for this one.
I wish you were on it, Pedlo.
So we went down. It was Shotty was with us, and Sandy, and you and I, and Davey was there, and Davey's wife, and father and brother.
Yeah, that's about the crew.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think so. Yeah, about 8 of us.
Yeah, and we had never met Pedlo. We'd never met him. I mean, we talked to him a billion times on here, but we'd never actually face to face met him. And we met him. He said, "Hey, don't you go running off." It's okay, whatever that means. I'm nice guy. I'm just being funny, but he said, "Don't go run off." So he comes back. We're watching Husker Butch. He comes back. And after that race, he goes, "Come on, round everybody up. We're gonna go meet Toby Keith." And we're like, "Really?"
No, the first thing he asked us, Aaron, first thing he goes was, "You guys want to meet Toby Keith?"
Yeah.
And we go, "Duh."
So old Pedlo brings everybody up there, and here comes Toby, and he just spent time with everybody and was talking, and he talked to Davey. Davey, where are you coaching? Oh yeah, I know such and such over there. And Davey's like, yeah, all this stuff, and took pictures with you guys. And Pedlo told him who I was, and he sat there and talked to me about this, horse that almost won of his, and who the mare was, and who, just on and on and on. And
it's unbelievable.
It was. And I think you'd never actually met him, and I think you saw what I've said. It was just he's just a regular guy,
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went over there, and it was my turn, whatever it was. I can't even remember. And shook his hand, of course, and for some reason, I'm not really in awe of the. I am. That's stupid. I was in awe of him, but
Yeah.
I just said, "Hey, I don't want to know any bullshit. I just want to know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?" And he goes, "Well," he goes, "I know I look like hell." I'll never forget that. I know I look like hell. And he goes, "But really, I feel good." And he said, "I just can't get any weight back.
Yeah.
I've had stomach cancer. I have trouble eating a lot." And he goes, "I just can't get my weight back." He said, "But he said, I feel pretty good." And we talked a little bit about the Sooners there for a little while. And then the next thing I know, he's got you cornered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sure
I'm
did.
telling you, folks, it was like him and Aaron were best buddies.
It was crazy.
And Aaron couldn't get away from it.
I couldn't.
And he was just horse racing this and horse racing that and wanting to know Aaron's opinion. And when Pedlo introduced you, he goes, "Oh, is this old boy?
Yeah.
This stuff in there that you got this shit you're looking at over and over? That's
Yeah.
like that." And
well, he came over to me and we're talking, and Pedlo goes, "Toby, this is Aaron from Racing Dudes. We look at his stuff on these tracks we don't know nothing about." Toby's his eyes kind of lit up because, "Oh yeah, man. He does. Old Pedlo does look at that stuff all the time." He goes, "And I do too. When we're sitting there, we like to bet 6 or 7 tracks at a time, and I don't know what's going on some of these tracks. We just look at your stuff and fire away." I thought, "Oh my God, this is insane."
So then he goes, when he finally gets when he finally's done with you, which seemed like it was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he goes over to my wife, and he gracious enough to take, of course, she's taking pictures, and he's gracious enough to talk to her. And then Davey, who's standing there with his mouth open, like, "Oh God, I can't believe this," and his wife, and then his father and his brother, who was young, I think he was like 12, they're sitting there, and I look over at Shotty, and Shotty's just there like, "Oh my God," and so he
was over there like, "These people are crazy just talking to Toby Keith."
Well, she's like, "I can't believe where I'm at."
Yeah.
It's like, and Shotty's out, she's outgoing and everything and wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
And she goes,
she got quiet up there, didn't she?
I said, "Shotty, are you going to get your ass over here and get a picture or not?" I don't think she would have done it. So she comes, and Shotty, correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway, she comes over there. Of course, he's gracious to her. And I think he would have stayed out there and talked for a long time, but he was supposed to go in there and do riders up for the next race or something. Because he goes, "Guys, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. I gotta go in there and do this," and
well, it was Oklahoma Derby Day, and that Derby was getting close.
I will never
get going.
And it's so poignant. Poignant, is that the word? Is so now because he passed, like, it's been 5 months ago. And what if we hadn't gone? What if we hadn't gone?
I know.
It was funny. I asked that Davey's brother, who's about 11, 11-year-old, just thinking, he may not give a shit. So I said, "Was that pretty special to you?" And he goes, "That's Toby Keith."
Yeah.
What do you think?
That was pretty funny. He looked at you like, "Are you dumb?"
He looked at me like I was crazy. What a day that was. And, it was. Just, I'll never forget it. And I just think one more thing I want to say, real quick. You said Shotty said she saw him again.
Well, see, Shotty, because you knew him then. That's why
right.
We were
friends.
Yeah. I will say before you go on.
Yeah.
So Ryan Humphreys, an old Oklahoma basketball player, walks by and Pedlo goes, "Hey, you'll know this guy to you," and I see out in the corner of my eye, Toby's over here talking about some mayor on his farm, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm sitting there talking to Toby Keith. I really need to get over there. I really want to meet Ryan Humphreys because I was just a little kid when he was playing. I loved him. I can't. And it's just one of those things. It's like, I can't believe this guy sitting here talking to me about this mare he's got that's gonna, and I'm just like, well, this is like a Larry David situation. It's like talking to the biggest celebrity one of the biggest in the world, and I'm sitting there trying to get to this basketball player that played at Oklahoma. I never got to him. And long story short, but then I just kind of, he was just so proud of that horse, and he just wanted to tell me the whole history of that horse, and he's got an eye problem, that's why he drifts out, and all this stuff. We're gonna get corrected and all this, and tell him like how he got raised and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Come on, please don't leave, Ryan Humphreys. I'd like to say hi. And anyway, it's long afterwards.
He just loved horse racing.
Listen, the passion for horse racing, guys, it was just as strong as any of us. I mean, he absolutely loved it. And he was at Remington Park every night he could. Every night he was there. And Heather and I were out down there on a random, it was Thursday or Friday one night. We were celebrating my birthday, and I was down there and looked up. There's Toby up on the railing. He's outside on the suite, waving at people and yelling at somebody he knew.
Yeah.
Heather's like, I can't believe that's him. I said, I swear to God, that's him. He's here every night. But anyway.
The other thing about Toby, he was so different from most Oklahoma sports fans that he supported everything. He was at basketball games, regular at basketball games, baseball. He got into the softball crazy thing that we have going down there now. He was gymnastics. He was at everything. He loved Oklahoma University sports, and he went to all of it. But the one thing I've learned from all of this, I am deathly afraid of cancer. I'm deathly afraid of, most of us are. And
sure. Yeah.
He's taught me how you deal with it. You just look it straight on. There ain't a damn thing you can do about it, and just let fate take over. And you do it. You deal with it the best way you know how to do it. You don't let it define you.
Yep.
You keep going if you feel like it, and if you don't, you gotta take it easy. And that's what he did. He kept going. I dearly think he did those Vegas shows, and I have no idea. I'm just guessing, because he wanted to do that one more time. I think
that's 100%.
Go do that again to see if he could.
Yep, I think you're right.
Because he went down after that, and I think he wanted to do that.
He definitely, if you really want to be inspired by somebody, you got to go listen to the first 20 minutes of that interview that he did, that you reference on Channel 9. It's an hour interview, first 20 minutes. He's powerful, man.
It's unbelievable.
He just said, man, I'm going to do everything I can. This ain't going to define me. I'm going to live my life. And hell, he did. He was at all these places, and he obviously wasn't doing all that good, but he just kept going. So,
but you would never know he was sick.
No.
You knew, because all you had to do was look at him. But the way he acted and the fun he did, he's really Kevin. What they did at the OU basketball game Tuesday night, he always sat right down on the floor at the end of one basket, and they put a guitar in his seat and a OU hat and a red cup. Yep. And I think the wound was so fresh at that game Tuesday night.
It happened that day, so they couldn't plan much, but they did everything they could.
They just couldn't do it right. And I heard the OU radio announcer. He's got a sports radio show, and I was listening to him, and he goes, "We just couldn't get into that game." And he said it was the oddest feeling. He goes, "Everybody was just in so much shock and sorrow." That when that game started, it was just nothing in there, and then finally it got going. But I think they play at home again Saturday. I think they're going to do a lot of stuff on Saturday. All drinks will be sold in red Solo cups with TK on it. I think
that's cool.
They're going to try to do some stuff. They'll have more time to do it correctly. I think everybody was in shock and just didn't have time to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
They also play Oklahoma State that day.
Yeah.
And I think they'll want to take part in it too, even though everybody hates each other. They don't hate Toby Keith. So,
right. I've left out a lot of stories I've heard about him. But one more about OU. I was listening to George Stoya, who works for Soonerscoop.com. He went to school at OU, and he met Toby when he was a student at OU, and he was working for the student newspaper, or the university newspaper. It does kind of get thrown out to the public. It's not just a school paper. Like the public gets a hold of it. And he was working there, and because he's at an OU event, he bumps into Toby Keith, and he said, Toby grabbed him. He said, "Hey, George." And George was like, "What?" He said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of your work, buddy." And George was like, "Toby Keith's sitting here. I'm a student at OU." And he says, "I'm a big fan of your work." But that was him, through and through. Like, he probably wanted to go reach out to him. And I heard Eddie Radosevich, who's he's probably the most notable figure down there in the media. And they talked all the time. So, it's just, he was a part of it, just like, you and I, would be a part of it. Yeah. He wasn't above anybody. And that's the best thing you can say about him.
Yeah. He was one of us, and that had a very special talent.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So he really wasn't one of us, but he wanted to be. And I'm telling you, there's not many that did it any better than he did.
I don't know if him and Jeff Ruby were close. I'm sure they were, but he's done a lot of concerts. I've seen those videos. Yeah. But again, I don't know if he's close with old Jim's at Razorback Pizza, but he did an impromptu concert there too. So,
well, he was very close to Jim Ross.
Yep.
And Jim's not doing very well either. So
no, he's not. No. So
So
I don't think his is as dire, but
no.
He's struggling with the same kind of thing. So anyway. Anything else?
No, it's gonna miss him tremendously.
Yep. He's gonna be missed.
Nobody to fill the void either. So
yep. No, absolutely not. He was a one of a kind. He's gonna be missed at Remington and OU softball and everywhere down there. And I feel so bad for Pedlo, because we can sit here and talk about him and we loved him, but that's Pedlo's friend, and
they were very close. And I sure wish Pedlo could have been on today. Aaron text him, and
no, I'll let him know to listen.
Tell him to make sure.
Yep, I'll let him know to listen. And boy, we owe him a lot.
Pedlo, I can't thank you enough. I know I thanked you in person a lot, but I'll thank you again right here. It was special for all of us.
Yep. We definitely appreciated that more than you'll ever know. That's for sure. And he sure didn't have to do it either. That's the thing.
Absolutely not. Toby didn't either. He could have said, "I don't know those bozos."
Yeah, exactly. Well, if he's that kind of guy, Pedlo wouldn't have brought us up there. So
that's true. That's right.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
We got through it.
Yep. I think that's about all. Well, we could do a lot more, but I think that's all we're going to do for today. So everybody have a good rest of your day. We also got to get off here because Magic Mike's coming up at 4:00, and that will be 39 minutes away. So they're going to go Tampa Bay.
2:00.
What's that?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong thing. You're right. It is almost 4:00, isn't it?
It is almost 4. Yes,
wow.
Sir.
Well, I've farted away another day.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get off here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just the minute I saw that, I got to thinking about the show. I said, "There's just no better show to do this on."
No.
I don't know. I just thought of the show immediately. I said, this is the show. We'll do Super Bowl, and this is it.
Well, I hoped you were going to, and I couldn't have done it Tuesday. There's no way.
No. I thought about that all day. I was just upset. And
hey, I got home about 4:30 that night, and I'd been at school all day, and I didn't have time to look at anything. And so I got a little bite to eat, and we weren't going to go. We didn't have to go anywhere that night. And I sat and I was on Twitter and YouTube the entire night. I just was reading the tributes from people from all walks of life. It was just unbelievable.
Yep.
So,
I know it. Well, it's because he was didn't settle, but you never hear a bad story. And I know, like, when somebody passes away, you don't, but I never heard one when he was alive either. And
you're always greater after you're dead. Yes, that is true.
But this is one of those times where pretty damn great when he was alive too.
He was special. He was a man who was comfortable with where he was. And another thing, one quick thing, he kept his family separate from everything, but now the tributes have come out, and he gave a great tribute to his kids and his wonderful wife. I never knew, you didn't ever know about that part of his life, but they would have been married 40 years this year. And he said she's a rock, and she got him through this battle. She was one of the ones that got him through it. So
no, you're right. I didn't know anything about his wife at all up until when he sang that song at that award show. So man. Crazy stuff. All right, well, we're gonna leave you because you got handicapping to do now. So thank you, everybody, for sitting through it and letting us talk about him.
Thank you. That was therapeutic for us.
We certainly, like I said, we've been wanting to do this, and I purposely didn't talk to you much about it because I just we'll save it for the show, But anyway, all right, so we're gonna get off here, guys. Magic Mike coming up here in about 35 minutes, and we'll be back tomorrow for more Dudes Who Bet Daily. Magic very upset. His horse has lost, so he's not happy. But hopefully, hopefully we have some better luck a little bit later on this week, or tonight, I should say. So, all right, guys, we're getting off here. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
This is Dudes Who Bet Sports.